Starting now, this is your local news leader, News 10 ABC at 4.
Right now at 4, first of its kind law targeting unlawful evictions, how it works, and the reaction from those it will impact.
More storm damage, this time in western parts of the capital region. A community still picking up the pieces with more severe weather expected tonight.
Plus, against all odds, a local man walking again with some help from modern technology. Your local news at 4 starts right now.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lydia Kulbida.
And I'm John Gray. Glad you're with us on a very hot day. More severe weather expected tonight. We'll have more on that in the forecast in just a bit.
But we begin in Albany, where the Common Council has passed a first-in-the-state law related to evictions.
In tonight's top local story here, News 10 ABC's Jamie DeLine explaining what it is and when it could go into effect.
In Albany, a majority of people do not own the homes they live in.
60% of residents in the city of Albany are renters.
The good cause eviction law prevents a landlord from letting a lease lapse without notifying the tenant.
There's some misconceptions out there. One is that they have to renew a lease. That's not true. What it says is that you have to give 90 days notice if you're not going to renew a lease. I think there were concerns that this was somehow rent control, but it's really not. It's rebuttable presumption. You can't simply raise the rent exponentially without any underlying reasons.
Sheehan says if a landlord has improved their property or can demonstrate that costs have gone up, they can reasonably raise the rent. According to the city, rent increases of more than 5% are prohibited when used to simply circumvent eviction laws. Some landlords are against this legislation.
As they impose a 5% rent control cap, so they're squeaking through rent control and not following the rules that are supposed to be done for mandating rent control.
This legislation also empowers the city to step in and make necessary repairs to a property and charge the owner for them if needed.
So we have to have more of an ability for our codes department to be able to go in, make those repairs if the landlord isn't doing it quickly, so that we can keep a family in their home.
Tenants must also ensure that they're following the rules of the lease, making sure their residence is clean and maintained. A public hearing on this legislation is expected to happen in the next 10 days, and the mayor says she plans on signing it. Reporting in Albany, Jamie DeLine, News 10 ABC.
Happening now, an air quality alert is in effect for the entire capital region viewing area. The alert remains in effect until midnight tonight. Young children, the elderly, and people with pre-existing respiratory problems should avoid spending time outside. Extended exposure during this kind of advisory can cause short-term health effects such as eye, nose, and throat irritation, as well as coughing, sneezing, runny nose, and shortness of breath.
Time to talk weather now.
It is, and here's News 10 ABC meteorologist Tim Drawbridge. And Tim, what are you watching this afternoon?
Well, we not only have the air quality alert in effect until midnight, like you mentioned, Lydia, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that has been posted for a lot of our viewing area to the north and west of Albany. It will be in effect until 11 p.m. tonight for winds up to 75 miles per hour, isolated winds to that speed, and isolated reports of hail being possible up to 1.5 inches diameter. In the meantime, let's look at the storm tracker high definition radar. Some cells again to the north. Some of you are getting hit for the second time up in the Tri-County region of Glens Falls. Some activity has popped up just south of where we had the intense rainfall and the flooding rains in the Mohawk Valley last night near Carlisle. US 20 there right on the Montgomery County, Schoharie County border. Village of Schoharie points east toward the radar site in the Helderbergs. Then look at this intense downpour that continues to strengthen right along the upper Hudson, South Glens Falls 9 through the town of Monroe, down 32 into Ganswort. It's got a storm track on it, and Cap and I are continuing to keep an eye on this one. There's the updated scan showing that little inflow notch and a little bit of a hook. So needless to say, this has got a little bit of rotation with it. We're going to continue to keep an eye on that moving through northeastern portions of Saratoga County. Then we look up toward the St. Lawrence Seaway. Look at that ominous complex coming out of southeastern Ontario. That's the reason why the severe thunderstorm watch was posted, as that now will start moving through the St. Lawrence Seaway into the northwestern Adirondacks over the next couple of hours. 83 right now in Albany, high for the day. Planner, as we head through the day on Wednesday, not as warm. Looking for the opportunity for some breaks of sunshine after some patchy fog and a shower, thunder shower threat as we head through the day, and a high of 75. There is some fantastic weather on the way. Great news, right? Can we completely keep it dry into this coming weekend? Storm Tracker 70 forecast at 4:16. Lydia.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Tim. Well, as we prepare for more weather tonight, another Capital Region community is cleaning up the damage done by flash flooding.
News 10 ABC's Harrison Grubb reporting in Fonda tonight, where some of the roads saw several feet of water.
This is not good. Heavy rains flooding parts of Fonda last night, prompting a state of emergency.
It has flooded before. That's probably the most I've seen coming down Broadway.
Town of Mohawk Fire Chief Stanley Mitchell says numerous basements on Broadway flooded, some taking on 4 feet of water. Officials were also forced to temporarily shut down the rail line that runs through the village.
I've never seen it coming up and over the rail tracks. That's never happened as far as I know.
People spent the day cleaning up mud and debris, while some businesses assessed the damage left behind.
See the water in a car here. There's an inch of water in there. I mean, all soaked in the rug now. It was horrible.
Rob Hart helps out at Right Choice, a used car and auto repair shop. He says last night's flood left several cars in the lot waterlogged.
There's 2 inches of water in the floorboard of that, and these are all cars that we just got to sell. Used cars. Minor repairs. So he just got all these cars, and now what?
He and the shop's owner hope insurance will come through.
Just have to play it by ear and see what happens. I don't know what else to do.
Reporting in Fonda, Harrison Grubb, News 10, ABC.
Well, New York State set to receive a settlement worth more than $1 billion from 3 of the nation's largest drug manufacturers for their alleged role in the ongoing opioid epidemic. Part of this agreement between the 3 companies and New York's Attorney General, $1.1 billion, be spread out in payments over 17 years. The companies, McKesson Corporation, Cardinal Health, and Amerisource Bergen Drug Corporation, they will not have to admit any wrongdoing, even though they're writing these big checks. The companies will also be removed from an ongoing lawsuit in state court.
Warren County is turning to the community to help decide how it should spend more than $12 million in federal pandemic relief funding awarded through the American Rescue Plan. The county has put out a survey, and you can see the link on your screen right now. It will remain open until August 17th. There are specific parameters for how the money can be spent. The results will be shared with the County Board of Supervisors. They'll then establish an advisory group to weigh the available options before any money is allocated.
Stewart shops jumping headfirst into the world of electronic vehicles as 5 Capital Region locations of Stewart's prepping now for the installation of high-speed electric vehicle charging stations. This is what they're going to look like when they're all done. Construction is starting in Skodak. All 5 sites are expected to be operational by the end of the year. Now, according to Evolve New York website, the company responsible for these stations, chargers are also being installed at 2 Stewart shops in Albany, 1 in Latham, and 1 up in Clifton Park.
A Rensselaer County man being honored as the 2021 Bus Driver of the Year by the New York Association for Pupil Transportation. Congratulations to William Burns, who drives for the Brunswick Central School District. Among other things, Burns is being credited with saving a student from serious harm or death by preventing the child from exiting a stopped bus that was being illegally passed by a car. In honoring Burns, the association is also reminding everyone of an ongoing shortage of bus drivers, encouraging anyone who is qualified to reach out to their local district to apply.
In the race to vaccinate, the state-run vaccination site in Queensbury's Aviation Mall slated to close on July 26 as New York continues to scale down the vaccination effort. The focus now being turned to areas with low vaccination rates as the state plans to partner up with local health departments, providers, and community organizations.
A local man paralyzed in a construction accident is back on his feet. How his faith and a piece of modern technology helped him take his first steps.
And Super Bowl champs visiting the White House today, and their QB is cracking jokes. Tom Brady found common ground with President Joe Biden.
Plus, the Olympics begin tonight when you can catch your first look at American Olympic athletes.
Racing returns to Saratoga tomorrow. We just had our 2 days off, the dark days as they call them. Gates open tomorrow at 11. Post time for the first one is 1:05. The featured race, the $100,000 Violet Stakes.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader, with Lydia Kulbida, Trishna Begum, and Tim Drawbridge. You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
Happening tonight, about a year after they were supposed to begin, the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan getting underway. Though opening ceremonies aren't until Friday, competition actually kicks off late tonight with 2 softball games. Anyone hoping to catch the first U.S. women's soccer match, set your alarms. That game kicks off 4:30 tomorrow morning. COVID already causing issues at the U.S. tennis star Coco Gauff was forced to withdraw after testing positive, and several other American athletes are under mandatory quarantine.
The Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers made a little visit to the White House today to celebrate their title. Much of the team was in attendance, including the head coach and, of course, quarterback Tom Brady. Brady giving a speech on the White House lawn had a few jokes for President Joe Biden.
Not a lot of people, think that we could have won. And in fact, I think about 40% of the people still don't think we won.
I understand that.
You understand that, Mr. President?
I understand that.
Yeah. And personally, it's nice for me to be back here. We had a game in Chicago where I forgot what down it was. I lost track of 1 down in 21 years, and they started calling me Sleepy Tom. Why would they do that to me?
This is the first time the reigning NFL champs have visited the White House since 2017. Tom Brady's first visit, by the way, since 2005 when George W. Bush was in office.
A local man is taking what some would call a miraculous step today.
Yeah, 1 year after he was paralyzed in a construction accident, technology has him back on his feet.
News 10 ABC's Ric Easton shows us how.
It's a big day today.
Yeah. Douglas Averill came to the capital region from Brazil in 2016. A year ago, he was working on a construction site. While building a wall, he fell from the 3rd floor and suffered a spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the waist down. It was his faith that got him through those early weeks.
Yeah, if you have faith in God, you need to keep fight for everything.
In October, Doug was introduced to the ReWalk personal robotic exoskeleton. He uses a watch-like device that sends signals to motors at his hips and knees to control his movements. And now he's back on his feet.
In about 20 to 30 sessions of using the machine, he became completely proficient and independent at being able to walk with it, to stand with it, to use it, to walk outside, inside, use it in the grass. We've walked up and down the hill.
Sunnyview Rehabilitation Hospital has had a partnership with ReWalk and has used their exoskeletons in the physical therapy department.
Well, the device is obviously gives individuals who have spinal cord injury, it gives them a kind of a new lease on life, I like to say. And what it does is it allows them to be upright, ambulatory, both at home and out in the community. And it's not only for the health benefits of being weight-bearing and, the circulation, but like you mentioned, also the being at eye level and the confidence again and the quality of life that I think able-bodied people sometimes take for granted.
Doug was identified as a perfect candidate for home use, and today he takes one home.
It was very exciting because when I was in the hospital, they said maybe you won't walk again. And now I'm able to see my legs movement, and it's amazing.
Reporting in Schenectady, Ric Easton, News 10, ABC.
That is amazing indeed, how far technology has come.
And you think how young he is, where technology will be 20 years from now. Those may look like relics compared to what he'll have down the road. Amazing stuff.
Time now to take a look at your full storm tracker forecast.
If it could not rain, Tim, that'd be good.
It would be absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, between now and when we can get into some fantastic weather, it's about a 24 to 30 hour period of time where we still have that chance of precipitation. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. In the meantime, we talked about this at the top of the newscast, air quality alert in effect until midnight. I'm told we do have the mobile storm tracker. It's up in the Helderbergs, and the tracker looking back from the Helderbergs into the Hudson Valley. And haze has been the biggest issue as we've gone through time over the last 24 to 48 hours. And the high-resolution rapid refresh model showing that, yes, we have the smoke issues across the region. This is courtesy of the big wildfires up in western Ontario in through central Canada. And that smoke has been able to travel across the Great Lakes. You could look up the moon last night. It was clear as a bell, that nice tinge of orange. I say nice tinge because it was unique. In the meantime, speaking of unique, dry weather in the south end of Saratoga Lake. But as we've been looking up toward the 9P bridge today, the rain has gotten close to the south end. It's been up on the north end of the lake. And as we look live from the Queensbury Hotel in downtown Glens Falls, looking over toward Cool and Shearing Arena, and tracking the heavy downpours going from that side of the river on through northeastern portions of Saratoga County. We'll show you the radar in just a moment. 83 right now in Albany, 81 at Pittsfield, 85 at Hudson, to 74 at Glens Falls, 81 at Johnstown. Storm tracker high definition radar. Burst of rain now focused east of Carlisle as things continue to evolve right along the Montgomery County, Schoharie County line, now starting to bleed into western portions of Schenectady County. Looks like there could be a shower evolving too just beyond the radar side out toward New Salem and Voorheesville. As you make your way into the Helderbergs leaving from Albany, heavy downpours. Here is Route 9 right through here up across the river to the Queensbury. So we were looking down this way with the most intense rain through the town of Moreau, on the other side of the river toward Fort Edward, extending over toward Argyle and across central portions of Washington County. That cell could be potentially producing winds in excess of 30 miles per hour and maybe some pea-sized hail. The earlier storms did knock down a tree in the town of Wilton along Route 50 and Kings Road, by the way. Boundary to our north, here's a potent disturbance, and look at that activity now starting to come across from the southeastern portion of Ontario. That's the area we're going to start getting into. The question is when? It'll be tomorrow night into Thursday, but there's a disturbance north of high pressure in northern Canada. That'll provide perhaps a shower threat before we round out the week. Cold front moving through as we head into the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow morning. Just to our south, midday tomorrow, so a renewed shower and thunder shower threat. Storm Prediction Center's highlighting basically southern Berkshire County, Dutchess County. They may have to inch that up regarding a slight risk for severe weather. Then for Thursday, great feel to the air. Model's trying to wrinkle out a shower. We're going to keep it dry. And yes, comfortable levels of humidity. 75 tomorrow in Albany, many of us in the 70s, and pretty much the same deal on Thursday. The big difference, a significant drop with the levels of humidity. 65 tonight, we're going to keep an eye on the radar all evening with the opportunity for some potent storms. 75, a few showers and thunder showers around as we head through tomorrow. Again, we'll keep an eye on the radar for perhaps some strong, maybe severe weather again. Dry, fantastic feel to the air Thursday, maybe a shower Friday. Gorgeous for Saturday. It'll keep me out of the doghouse for some strange reason. Showers, thunder on Sunday, maybe a shower Monday of next week. Lydia.
Thank you, Tim. Increasing concern tonight from top U.S. health officials about the spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant. What they say is the key to ending the pandemic.
Also, recall from one of the country's top auto manufacturers affecting hundreds of thousands of cars. Details on that when we come back.
Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on News 10 ABC. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
All right, consumer alert time. Ford Motor Company issuing a massive recall. This will impact more than 850,000 vehicles in this country. It includes the Ford Explorers from 2013, 2017, F-350 Super Duty trucks from this year and last year, and Lincoln Aviators from this year and last year as well. The company says the majority of the recalls involves the Explorer. They say they're aware of 6 allegations of injury linked to a safety malfunction. Owners of the impacted vehicles, now you should be notified next month. You're just advised, take the car in for an inspection when they let you know.
The Biden administration's COVID response team on Capitol Hill telling lawmakers today that the number of people dying from COVID-19 has increased by nearly 48% in a week. The hearing comes amid growing concerns as the Delta variant is driving a COVID surge in nearly every state. ABC's Faith Abube reports from D.C. with the latest.
Good morning. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky on Capitol Hill Tuesday telling lawmakers the Delta variant now accounts for at least 83% of all COVID cases in the U.S.
This is a dramatic increase up from 50% the week of July 3rd. We have averaged 239 deaths per day, an increase of nearly 48% over the prior week.
But the U.S. vaccination rate not matching the threat posed by the highly contagious COVID variant. Immunization is ticking up only 1.2% in the past week. Walensky saying nearly 2/3 of U.S. counties have fewer than 40% of their residents vaccinated.
The overwhelming majority of deaths from COVID-19 are now occurring in unvaccinated people. Vaccines are widely available across the country, and this suffering and loss is simply and entirely preventable.
In Georgia, 38-year-old Vicky May Norrid left work when she couldn't breathe. The unvaccinated mother now in the hospital battling the Delta variant and pneumonia. Her family now reconsidering their own decision to take the COVID shot.
Watching someone you love go through it, it changes your opinion with it.
But as the White House pushes for more people to get vaccinated, breakthrough infections raising concerns. Several high-profile cases reported in recent days. A fully vaccinated senior aide to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi among the latest to test positive for COVID-19. But health officials stress the vaccines work, with the unvaccinated making up 97% of all COVID patients in hospitals.
So when you hear about a breakthrough infection, that doesn't necessarily mean the vaccine is failing.
And as for how soon Americans would need vaccine booster shots, Dr. Walensky told lawmakers that there's no firm timeline yet. The vaccines were highly effective and would only lose potency gradually. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
Now here's a look at what's coming up next on News 10 ABC at 4:30. Colleges are prepping for the fall semester, how SUNY schools are planning to fully reopen, and the difference for non-vaccinated students.
A dog rescued from a very tight spot, how Gertie ended up trapped between two concrete walls.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
Closed captioning sponsored by Albany Med. Capitalize your career at albanymedcareers.com.